financial life has to do with individual cases. So financial solutions meet specific needs. And I want to say, because we're trying to make a financial education, whatever that comes to you and it sounds something you want to get more information, please contact us so that we can know your specific situation and can advise you as an individual. That's what I want to say for the beginning. And I also want to say, based on the question asked, how do we manage our income in order to be able to save towards our future? Right. There are stages in life, financial life. We always have financial stages. A time of building wealth, and a time of preserving it, and then the time of giving it up. So if anybody in this meeting is in the period of building your finances, then probably this question that been asked will be very useful to you. The first point regarding the question being asked is one must have a budget. If you have an income coming to you, it is important you know what is coming and how it should be spent. So if we can have a budget prepared, and a budget is not anything you should go and research and do. Every one of us can do budget. Know what you are expecting for the month, for the week, and then know what will go out of your money. If you can have an idea of that, you will be able to see some of them can be postponed and some of them need to be done and done as quick as is possible. So it is true, there are many people who are not saving, not because the money is not enough. Obviously, there is no one so far that has enough money that, oh, I don't need to do anything. Despite the names we are hearing, billionaires and all that, they always have something that the money will be used for. But if you have a budget, plan yourself and know what is coming in and what need to be spent out, you will be able to adjust and put something little aside. So first thing anybody receiving income must do, and I'm saying must do, is to know how you are going to spend it. And you can only know how you are going to spend it by doing a budget. The budget will help you to know your income. Nothing that you can assume as and when. If you plan it, you will be able to manage and serve the need. There are some of our expenses that are not meeting our needs, but they are good. But when you are in such situation as the question was being asked, please try to meet the need first. And out of that, you'll be able to have little say. So far, that has been, if you want to come in, I think this will help somebody. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sorry. So someone is asking, how do I do a budget if my income is not regular?
Fantastic. And that is common here because a lot of people work through agency and are being given shifts. So many people are not in the position of knowing exactly how much they are going to earn at the end of the month. Right. You might be a starter or you might be working in that pattern for some time now. Have an average. Take the last month, last 2 months, last 3 months. On the average, how many days shift did you get? How much came to you? And then anticipate that in the worst scenario, you may get 2 weeks out of the month, or budget with 3 weeks income. If you've been getting 10 shifts irregular, what is the least shifts you got in a week? How many? And how many shifts did you get in a good week? Take an average and use that to plan. The good thing of doing that is you might end up having enough money than you budgeted to spend because you paired yourself on the average. So in the month of good day or good income, you will have more and can save more or spend less. And in the time of where you don't have more shift, let me put it that way, because you have saved more than the normal savings in the previous year, a month, you will be able to continue and sustain your ability to save. And let me say this regarding to this, I'm expanding this. Savings is not something everybody knows that to be able to get something, you have to put something aside. But what is preventing many people from not able to do that is the fear of debt. It's important we get this. If you are afraid that, oh, I will not be able to do that if I spend this or if I save this, it is a hindrance to many people from for not saving at all. You earn £1,000 a week, a month, let's put it in a month. But you know, within the month, this very month, you might spend about £1,500, knowing what is coming. And that fear of not putting yourself into a need, you will not set anything aside. You will leave it there. But there's no way you can leave money around you and it will be able to survive the week, the month, without having something to do with. So if one is able to manage the fear of being in debt or the fear of incurring debt and the fear of not meeting future need, you will be able to set something aside every week, every month, irrespective of what is coming in terms of outgoings. And that will cause what we call a habit, because savings must be a habit. It doesn't matter how much you earn. If you don't apply that habit of putting something aside, you can't save. It's not about the money you earn. It must be a habit. But habit is formed. It's by practice. So advisably, we tell people, just try and put, if it is £1, £5, £10, unconsciously, just be putting it there. By the time you come to yourself, you realize that it becomes a pattern. And that is the key. In fact, that is the key of building wealth or creating wealth or developing savings attitude. For savings, I don't think there's anybody on earth who teach anyone how to save or knowledge about saving. Everybody knows that there's the need to save, but how to do it? How will I be able to do it? To do it, you must develop the habit for it. But it's intentional. So that's how I will put it. If you are earning and your earnings is not regular, please take an average and make a budget, and that will help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really like the fear part, because as soon as you see that the outgoings coming in not matching with the income, you just start panicking. And then, yeah, you don't even save anything at all at the end of the day. Yeah, thank you so much. So, Mr. Sorry, I think when you are doing a budget, we do put all the, especially the debts that we have, our credit card, our loans, to see how much you are going to pay. And these debts, it's like compound interest. So this month they'll add the interest. Some of the lenders will not let you pay anything, and then some will let you pay a peanut, and the following month they are charging you interest on that interest plus the principal. Is there a smart way we can pay off our debt early so that we can save more?
Okay, all right. Before I answer, I think somebody's hand is on. If you can get that person to ask the question so that they don't stay on it for longer.
Yes, Rebecca, I think you can ask your question.
My main question is very simple. What I'm asking is, once you have worked hard and you have made all the savings, how do you make sure that one day when you are not there, your savings would go to your kids or to the right people that you would want your money to go to?
Okay, I think I get you. Thank you very much. Preserving what you have been able to accumulate throughout your lifetime. It is important, you know, all of us, with the help of probably this program and other things that we know, there must be a financial planning for everyone. That is different from, oh, I have an accountant, I have this, and there should be a financial plan. The financial plan is that you are able to build your savings, as our dear sister is talking about. Now, savings is one thing and it's different from investing. So you are able to save a little, you invested, you created some wealth. Now, every one of us will pass on at a point in time. We don't wait to see what happened. You must deliberately plan. And part of the planning, obviously, I hope everyone will be comfortable. You should have a will of for whatever you have in life. Your wishes, how you want to be done. But apart from you having a will, you must properly plan as to how your wealth will get into the hands of people you intended it for. The reason I'm saying this, if you don't do planning, financial planning properly, a large part of what you have acquired may end up with the government. So there is always the need to have a succession plan, prepare and know what you have, and know how you can preserve it by talking to, and I mean, because I will not be able to explain deeper on this program, talking to a financial advisor. And with the help of financial advisor, you'll be able to allocate your wealth properly and preserve it properly. So there should be the need for estate planning. And that is something, if you are able to acquire, you might not everybody do estate planning because of how life treated people. But from what I'm getting from the question you asked, such a person needs a financial planner. Once you accumulate, you preserve it, and now how are you going to give it out? There is inheritance tax, and there are many ways that one can preserve what you have. In terms of it getting to the right person, the simple and the easiest one that nobody can tamper with is you having a will and decide how you want your wealth or your estate to move. By having the will alone does not preserve it. And that's why I was talking earlier on. You need planning to do estate plan properly so that your money will not, hard-earned wealth will not go to the government, especially if you are in the United Kingdom. So you need financial planning to do with. I'm sure that will help because you need to sit down with somebody. I cannot give generalized answer because it might also disadvantage somebody. We have individual situations and the nature of the wealth each individual have acquired. So I'm sure that will help. But if you are able to be achieve something or acquire something, you don't leave it like that. You don't sit down. Please do something with it. It is especially with the current government, the policies that are coming in. And I must say this, you don't need to get a certain age to say, I will do estate planning or I will do financial planning. Once you start earning and you start having an ambition, you have plans, please put things on paper. I believe there are many people who know more than I know regarding our life. We cannot determine when it will be ready for us to leave this universe. So that's
thanks, Rebecca, for the question. I was asking about smart ways can pay off our debts.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. In terms, every one of us in the UK, I know every one of us is surrounded by various forms of debt. Even our houses, our mortgage is a debt. Store cars, buying our cars, most of our cars are on finance, and many things. Now, the smart way, as you explained it when you were asking the question, again, it is advisable you sit down with somebody who have the knowledge. But individual, what you should do, you should be able to know the cost of each debt. The cost of each debt. There are some debts that we even rush to pay that might not even impact or will not have anything to be worried about. With time, it will clear by itself. And believing other debts that are, as Nariam mentioned, incurring interest on interest. So the reason I say if you want to do it smartly, sit with an expert, is that the person who knows about that will be able to identify various debts that you have, which one is costly and which one is manageable without you even rushing to pay. So to be able to get out of debt and pay these things and able to even save before you thinking of investing, please know the kind of debt you have and know the cost of each debt. Some of the debts can even be absorbed by other debts because of the cost. And I'm talking about the interest rates that we pay on each debt. Some of the debts that we have has a higher interest rate. These are the things, those with high interest rates are the, let's say, credit card, car finance, items that we finance. Some of them are with high interest. And they may be telling you, oh, pay a minimum. Those ones incur you more debt than the debt itself. So if you are able to know those kind of debt and you are having one, the advice is that find a means to clear those ones as early as you can. It might even be, let me give you an example. You might have a personal loan from your bank, say 20,000, and you may have a credit card of say 1,500 or even 500. And they will ask you £10 minimum, you pay £10. For some reason, you might use about 400 out of the 500 credit card limit. And you'll be paying every month. That's okay. The £10 you pay, about £8 pay interest, and £2 reduce the debt. So the more you keep that card there, even though it's less than your personal loan of 20,000, okay, the smartest way is to take away the 500 debt, because the cost of that one is higher and it is increasing all the time by paying less. Because all the time, if you pay it £10, £8 go to pay interest, that does not reduce the debt you have. And that puts many people's finances into serious debt. Because you think that I am paying every month, but the percentage that go to reduce the debt is less. So in terms of finding the best way, smart way to do that, you should be able to know the cost of each debt and then clear the high cost debt first. The ones that I say they are normal, I use the personal loan from your bank. The personal loan from your bank may not incur the cost, like say some people have Capital One credit card and various other cards that people have. Those ones are hugely expensive. And the more you keep those ones, thinking that you are managing them, the more you dig yourself deep into debt. So that is the best way to approach them.
Okay, thank you so much. So the more you keep high interest debts, the more you are no better off. Thank you, Mr. Sari. So I want to also, someone wants to find out. So we'll be going into mortgages very soon, but I want to ask you to look at a bit of insurance and protection. There's been a lot of people's attitude towards insurance not being so great. Are you able to touch on a little bit of why should we have protection at all? Is it not part of our expenses that does not help us to even save in the first place? Is there any need for incurring more expenses?
Thank you very much for this question. That can take even a whole day. Every one of us should have a financial plan. And the plan is that you should have your security, your protection, be protected first. If you talk about every one of us, what is important to us? Many people will say different things that are important to them in life. Some people, their mobile phone is so key, so important. Some people, their beautiful cars. Some people, their houses. Some people, their family, depend on what is important to you. Now, the first thing that some of us would advise you, the most important thing that we should acknowledge or be aware of is yourself. If you have a car, you need to live to be able to service the car. If you have children, you need to be alive to look after them. So, how do you protect yourself? How do you live? Are you immune to accidents? Are you immune to lost job? Are you immune to death? Are you immune to so many things? If the answers are not yes, then please, protecting yourself against future occurrence in our field will be one of the wisest things anyone should think about. Again, because we are talking about planning, everything you plan there does not necessarily mean it should happen to you. So if you are mitigating a risk in the future and you are able to protect it, preventing it from happening, does not mean the process, the tools, the material you use to prevent it is a waste just because it did not happen. So insuring yourself is not a wasted expenditure. In fact, in the line of preference and the scale of preference, it should be among the first thing. What happens is that you add yourself to a group of people pooling their resources together to be helping people who will get into trouble. So if you get insurance on your car, for instance, the premiums you pay cannot pay for the cost of insuring the fund or the sum that you are going to get if you are claiming. It is other people's money put together and then it will be given to you. So it is the first thing in your financial life that you have to think of protection. And protection have different types depending on the need of the person. You protect your life first, you protect your properties, you protect your income, and then you protect, as Rebecca asked earlier, you protect your wealth. These are all things that you are putting in place that that cost should not be considered as probably waste. Number two, some people have the mindset that, oh, instead of paying insurance premium, why not I be saving it? Please, they are two different things altogether. And you need the two at the same time. Your savings and investment cannot return the amount you need in case you fall into a situation that will require restoration. So always, as you are thinking of investing, as you are thinking of saving, please, the first point of the thinking should be protecting yourself and protecting what you have. In addition to you being able to save, even if you cannot do savings, I tell my clients sometimes, if your income is less and you think that for some reason you cannot be saving, please have insurance. Because if it does happen that you claim, that amount that you claim serve a need that your savings will not have been done. So if you have income insurance, for instance, income protection, and you lost your job or you are sick for some reason that you are not able to go to work and do the same work, the monthly payments that the insurance company gives you will be more than the investment of the same premium you are using to pay the income protection. So please, if you are not ready or you are not in the position to be saving, try and see if you can get any form of insurance in place. Indirectly, it's some sort of savings for you if the need arises for you to claim.
Great. Oh, great. So you were mentioning whether you are immune to this, if you are immune to that, if you are not. But some people think they are immune because they are Christians. So Mr. Sorry, what do you say about that? Because some people think maybe in a few lines they are immune and they don't need it because they have God and the Holy Spirit carrying them in their arms. So why should they?
Yeah, in the community we are, and I believe, it's a right and a good question. Thank you for that question. Without wasting too much, my point is that as for faith and belief, nobody can challenge that. But I believe God gives us wisdom. Give us wisdom. Nobody can buy their life except God, who determines when. But He has given you wisdom and given you assignment on this earth. Your ability to execute your assignment is in the wisdom He has given to you. So insurance, I believe there might be pastors or there might be ministers probably on the webinar. Please, I am not a pastor though, but I don't think any faith that we are in talk against insurance. And insurance is a wisdom God has given to you that protects the children. And let's give a typical example to end it. God has blessed you with children. By God's own wisdom, you take care of the children until they are financially independent. If you are not there, what happened? If you are not able to do something, that is not God, and I believe that will not be Satan or the devil. It is your inability to apply the wisdom, which is also a blessing God has given to us. So please, to say in my, if I'm in the office, I would say, please, the wisest and the good Christian will be the one to do insurance.
Okay, great. So there are some questions in the chat I would ask about mortgages. We are coming to that very soon.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, will mortgage interest rates go down if my fixed period is ending next year, January? Should I wait or get a deal now? Are interest rates coming down, or what is going to happen?
Interest rates, from where we sit, and let me say it this way, because people, we are all used to the past 10-year kind of interest with very, very low interest rate of 0.5, 1%, and that kind of thing. That is all we are all used to until recently, the past 2 years or so, that we have been seeing interest moving up. Now, until something drastic change, interest rates will continue to be hovering around where we are. The base rate currently is 5%. And most lenders and most investment and all this are working around the 5%. We are expecting that probably next month, December, it may come down. But again, politically, the things going around the globe does not suggest prudently that it might go down. So what I would say, current interest rates are not the best, but we have foreseen the next year, 2, 3, interest rates will be hovering around, say, 2-3%, 3 point something, 4%, depending on your credit. So if somebody's mortgage interest is fixed interest is coming to an end in January, you have two options. If you have the income that can afford the ability to remortgage it to a different lender, the chances are you might get the current best interest, because somebody's interest rate, fixed interest coming to an end in January means, I don't know the fixed term though, if it is a 5-year fix, that person's mortgage interest will be 1 point something, 2 point something. So if you are remortgaging it currently, you will get in the best with good credit and everything, you can get 3 point something. 4 points is on the average, or is one of the good rates currently. So if you are able to move because you have the income to another lender, I think you can go ahead and start looking for a remortgaging, and you may get, with current interest rate, you may get one of the best. But if your income will not support you moving from one lender because of affordability, and that is because interest rate has gone up, you better approach an advisor or call your bank and request for a product transfer. They can secure you an interest rate now, taking effect from January when your interest rates, your fixed interest rate ends. And that can be an advice, a suggestion, because for one to say, go for product transfer, then one should be able to know your situation. If you have a good situation that you can get with current interest rates, that would be okay, because things are not looking towards downward interest rates in the year, in our next year. It doesn't exceed that one. So I wouldn't say sit down and not doing anything. You must do something, but as to what you should do, I think it will be better the person speak with an advisor.
Okay, there's a question in the chat which I will ask after this question.
Yeah.
So there are a number of first-time people who do not own their homes asking, how do they start the whole process of owning their own residential property?
Right. That is a good question, and forgive me, everyone, too, because I'm generalizing my response. I have been campaigning. I'm talking to people, those who live in the council house for some time now, and I'm sure those who I have spoken with before will now realize what I was talking about. If you are living in the council house, even though now you are not going to get any better discount, that should be the starting point if you are first-time buyer. And I'm not classifying first-time buyer as the young ones that are coming up. Anybody who has not owned their own property, if you are living in any council house, that should be the starting point. Even though the discount you are going to get if you apply now will not be enough, but it's something to start with. If I take those ones out, first, does the person has a little savings at all? If not, the first thing you have to be thinking as you want to get into the property ladder is to think about deposits. Unfortunately, there is no 100% mortgage. However, if you are a young person and your parents are here and they were good and be able to, or were able to pay their mortgages on their house, there is a bank called Bank of Dad and Mom, or Mom and Dad. Yeah, they can give you the deposit. Yeah, you borrow from them. That can be, other than that, the first thing you should be thinking about having a deposit. If everything is okay and you are a citizen of this country, or you have a definite leave to remain, think of just 5% deposit. If you don't have that, maybe continue to aspire and work hard, because that is the starting point, at least to have 5% minimum of interest rates. Then we proceed to the next level where you want to buy and how you want to buy and all those ones. But if the person has a deposit, then please advisably speak to an advisor in terms of what you should go in for. And I'm saying this, sorry for taking that time. Some people want to get into their first house as their wishes, the way they want it, their wish. But your first house has always been to meet your need. And if you are going for the need, you might go for a 1-bed or 2-bed instead of 3-bed or 4-bed, because that is what will meet your need for now. And you starting from there, you will be able to get to the 4-bed or the 5-bed in terms of affordability and all that. So there are so many things when it comes to first-time buying, because some people too have the money, but depending on your family, a single person. If you are going to buy and you are buying certain amount, a number of bedrooms, let's say a single person buying 4 beds, sometimes the lenders are skeptical. How are you going to use it? Are you going to use that one to buy it and then rent it out? So there are a lot of things that one need to sit down with an advisor to go through. But as a first-time buyer, thinking of it, check if you have a deposit, because there's no 100% mortgage.
Okay, great.
But before you go, some people might have heard, there are some lenders, I think one in particular who have tried it last year. There is one lender in the system, if you have been renting for a year or more, and you can evidence that, again, depending on circumstances, there can be some form of about 100% in quote. But that one you need to speak to an advisor. But in general, there is no 100% mortgage.
Okay, great. Mr. Sari, is it advisable to, if let's say you have saved some money, is it advisable, I think Tina was asking, is it advisable to invest the money in a property or to pay off your residential mortgage?
Right. Again, the question that's been asked cannot be answered in a general way. Either of the suggestions can be okay, but depend on individual specific situation. Right? If you have your residential home, that is your life. That's where you are and your family and everything. If the chances are there's so much debt and affordability can become a problem because job, maybe by the time you have that property, you have a good job and or you are in good health and you continue to be in that job for the term of the mortgage. Every mortgage have a term, 20 years, 25 years, whatever years. And one is in the position to continue paying and will be finishing paying the residential mortgage. Then I will think if you have additional money, you invest it to grow your wealth. Because as you are adding properties, you are creating wealth as well because of the appreciation in value of each property. However, if somebody, as I mentioned, is in a situation that the future of your source of income to pay the residential mortgage is not bright and you have some funds with you, probably it will be wise or advisably to clear your residential debt so far as you are not going to incur any repayment charge. Okay. All right. So such a person should advisably speak to an advisor to review the situation and you can get. But on the surface, everybody will tell you, go and buy another property, go and buy another property. But if you buy and you cannot service your residential property in case of loss of income, health, or whatever reason, that may not be the best.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sari. There are a few people whose hands are raised. Gloria, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question. We'll be wrapping up very soon.
Hello, thank you. So, Mr. Kwesi, earlier on you mentioned that some debts are expensive and others are. So, for example, if you have a loan of £10,000 to pay with a private company, and at the end of 3 years you'll be paying 17,000, and you also have 2 credit cards that you are paying back, but with 0% interest. In this situation, do you pay the credit card because because I know not paying your credit card on time can affect your credit score. So in this situation, would you advise that you concentrate on the one that has a high interest, even though it's a private company, or should you pay the one with the credit cards, knowing that it has a high chance of impacting your credit score negatively? What would you advise, please?
Okay. In terms of the scenario you are creating, you have a loan with a private lender that might be a bit expensive because you are ending up within 3 years going to pay 7,000 on top. That might be a high interest rate, very expensive loan. Now, you also mentioned your credit card is a 0 interest. If that is the case, then you try to maintain your average or your minimum payment of the credit card and service the loan quicker. Again, the loan might also be fixed in terms of if it's a 3-year term, it doesn't matter whether you pay it in 2 years or 3 years, you are going to pay interest. So these are the way you evaluate, because there are some loans you go for it. They calculated the interest from day one, and the term is fixed. So whether you pay the loan earlier or not will not change. But if paying the loan earlier will reduce the interest rate, that is what I mentioned earlier on, that look at the expensive ones and see how best you can reduce them. Even if you cannot pay all, if you are paying more than expected, the additional payment you pay every month reduce the capital, and interest will not be charged on that. So that will be in terms of the scenario you put in. It will be good to reduce the high cost debt, which is the private loan.
Okay.
Yeah, is that okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll give David a chance to also ask his question. David.
Yeah, Mr. Sari, when you were explaining the mortgage, you made mention that if your status in this country, probably if you're on indefinite leave to remain or if you're a citizen, does that have a correlation with mortgages? Because you mentioned a certain 5% deposit. If does your status have a correlation with the kind of mortgage that you have? That is one. And then the other one is you also kept mentioning of seeking an advisor for an advice when it comes to some of these financial things. For me, I don't really have any advice, as you're saying. Is your firm an organization where individuals can turn to for advice, and what is the procedure if we need advices like that?
Okay, David, thank you very much for that beautiful and excellent question. Yeah, in terms of the last bit, yes, we are independent financial advisors. We serve individuals, businesses as well. At the end of the meeting, our details will be there. Contact us. And the good thing about us, our first 45 minutes consultation is free, just to assess you and suggest to you. At that point, we don't advise you, but we can listen to you, know your situation, and suggest the best way. If one is ready and you are okay, then we move on to where we will advise. And when we start advising, that is paid for. Okay, so that is it. Now, in terms of your status being affected or have correlation with a mortgage, yes, the deposit in particular. Right. If you are a citizen and you have an indefinite leave to remain, yeah, you are considered as somebody in terms of mortgage who is a citizen. So the minimum deposit that is required is 5%. Okay, and that will be okay. But if you are on a visa, that is renewal. Many lenders, in fact, now they have tried it. The high street lenders, and you have a good credit, that can be a minimum of 10% and above, because you are, and that is high street lenders. Okay, high street, I'm talking about Barclays, Halifax, Nationwide, and those ones. Many of those ones will consider you if you are on a visa, but majority will take 25% deposit. So that's why I mentioned that if you are on a visa, many lenders will take 25% as a minimum deposit, especially if you don't have excellent credit as well. But if you have a good credit and you are on a visa, renewal 2.5 or whatever, please, you can get 10% mortgage. I'm talking about deposit, yeah? A deposit of 10%. To get a 5%, unless you are with somebody who has an indefinite or has a British citizen, that joint application can benefit from a lower deposit requirement. But if you do it as a joint and both are on visa, yes, with good interest, you can get 10%, but you may not be able to get 5%. So that is the correlation it has with your status and the mortgage. Is that clear?
Yes, please. Yeah, very well answered. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, great. Before we wrap up, someone is asking how they can avoid capital gains when they sell their buy-to-let properties. Is there a way you can avoid capital gains tax?
Yes, there is a way, and that is a best advice. That's when you are getting into financial advising. When you sell your buy-to-let property, and the gains is also invested in another vehicle. Okay, another vehicle is a VCT, for instance. If you put your investment into that and you hold your property, that investment, at least the first 5 years, you are not taking that money. You postpone the capital gains, and if you can keep it for long, at the end, the gains will go by, I would say by itself as a simple, for lack of a better word. But if you don't invest it in the properly tax, for tax purposes, if you don't invest the gains in such an investment vehicles, I don't see how you can avoid paying the gains. But you can avoid paying the capital gains for now if you invest the gains in this ventures. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sari. We'll give just a minute to anyone who wants to ask any question. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself in a minute and ask. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up.
Yeah. Sorry. Please, my question is a bit long, but please bear with me. I had a property, which is my residence property. When I bought the property, excuse me, I was living in a council flat, so they gave me 15% to as a deposit. Now, this property, I had only, I think, 4.5 years to pay it. And also, I have a property, which is a buy-to-let at somewhere. At the moment, I want to buy another property as my residential property, like a new house, and then rent this one. Please, how do I go about it?
Oh, okay. So you have two properties. One is existing buy-to-let.
Yes, please.
So that one, we take that one out. Then you have residential council property you bought. You now want to move out and buy
No,
another
sir.
place.
No, it wasn't. The one I'm living now is not a council property. I was living in a council property, and I said, no, I want to buy my own. So they said, if you give us the property, we will give you.
Yes. Yeah. And so the property you are living in is your house. Now,
It is.
the 15,000 they gave you has, it has no attachment. Unlike the buy-to-let, right to buy, where you have attachment to the property for the first 5 years. So in your case,
no, they said if I sold the property, or if in case I want to pay them, I have to pay them in anytime I'm selling the property, they will take their 15%.
Oh, okay. So whatever they give you is a percentage, and the condition is that anytime you want to sell that property, there's no timeline.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So if there's no timelines, it works as the same as those who are having the 5-year clause on their right to buy. If you want to move out, you can move out, rent it out. That clause on the council section 121 is selling the property. So if you are not intend to sell it, then you can go ahead, remortgage it, even take money from there and buy where you really want to go and rent this one out. But I'm not sure, because I am not doubting your situation. But in most cases, there is an expiring term on the council support.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no expiring term on the council support, it is when the property is being sold. Mm-hmm. That's when you pay that support from the local authority. So first thing you have to do, this is what I think, because we have similar cases, but I don't know the borough you are, speak to the council regarding it and hear what they say as to the condition and how it affects. How long have you got that support? You bought the property?
In very long time, more than 20 years, sir.
Please go back to the council and then get clarity. Yeah, I'm sure there should be, because NHS and the teachers have some facility they have. By TS is similar to what you mentioned, that whatever they gave to you, that percentage will be paid back upon selling. And so far as you are not selling, it's still there. However, you can decide to, because you can decide to pay them off at any time. For instance, in your case, if your property is being valued today, whatever the value and the debt you have on it, that's the mortgage. The difference, if you take it, the gain is what we are going to have the 30% on. Sorry, 15% on. So, sitting with an advisor, we can look at it and say, listen, it's good, remortgage it, take extra funds, pay their 15%, and take their hands off your property. That is also an option. And that's why I'm saying I really have to see the clause, the way it's being structured, and know that, well, you cannot redeem that 15% until you sell the property, or but I wouldn't say or, because if you say 20 years and they have not requested for their 15%, and it is in the document that at any point you sell the property, they are going to get it, then you can leave it, remortgage, take money, go and buy somewhere, rent it. It doesn't, you have not flagged the laws. But I would suggest you speak to them first. Is it helpful?
Okay, I think she is muted. I hope, Madam Bridget, we've answered your question. So we are wrapping up for the evening. Mr. Asare, any closing remarks before we go, if you have any remarks you want to say?
Right. Thank you very much. Because of time, please, the little I will say is that every one of us, let us review our financial life. What stage are you? Are you in the stage of accumulating? Are you in the stage of preserving what you have accumulated? or are you in the stage of thinking to give it out? Review yourself and then know that you have to start doing something. You have to do something in the sense that your own house that you take, oh, that is the house I don't have savings. Then the value can take you to a point that you are dependent, or whoever will take over from you might be compelled to pay huge tax at 40%. Because most of the properties that we are dealing with now, some people bought their properties less than 100,000. Today they are talking about 500,000, 700,000. By the allowance given for your estates before inheritance tax comes in, maximum for anyone, I would say 500. If you are couple, is 1 million, I would say, because you have 325 allowance before you pay inheritance tax. So please, you can start planning now, and then see that you know exactly what you are going to be leaving behind and where it will go. Number two, please, there is one of the insurances that we don't consider them as important: income protection. Some people are, in fact, even now, NHS with the most favorable terms of work. Now, if you are sick, they pay you, I think, 6 months full pay, another 6 months half pay or so. Most employers are reducing their sick pay. Income that you gain from your employment is the fuel in your car that sustains you. If you cannot get the petrol, your car will remain there. So we must do everything possible to protect our income. Protect our income. If you are blessed with a family, please, 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 as you are thinking about acquiring wealth, think about their everyday finance if you are not there, if your income is not there. Insurance is one of the key things, everyone. You don't need to have a house. You don't need to have a car. You don't need to have a family to put income and to put insurance in place. There are various forms. And I will advise, let's review our life stage. If you are heading towards giving out, please start putting plans in place, because a huge portion of your investment, your wealth, can go to the government if you don't do anything. Ability to create wealth, there are procedures, there are investments. And let me say this too, there are people who are doing individual investment online. I'm not saying it's good, because that tells me that that person, with the support of proper advice, can create greater wealth. If you are buying or on any platform investing, you are likely to be investing in a particular company or in a particular shares. There is no diversification. The risk is too high that you can gain the same returns with properly diversified investment portfolio. All these are things that we can talk about. Our details are on the screen. Our office is in Woolwich. Telephone numbers are in there. Please, 45 minutes of our time, we talk to you. No cost for that. And it is good. You take the phone, speak to us, send an email, we will respond to you, so that you can have an understanding of what to do. Insurance, please, is important. There are different types, depending on the age you are. You can even do insurance to pay for your wealth you want to leave to your children. It is there. You can do insurance to take care of your funeral. It is there. You can do insurance to look after your children's education. It's still there. So please, we are open to the public, and you can speak to us. Remember, 45 minutes of our time is free for consultation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sari. We are really grateful for spending your evening with us and giving us such great amount of information, useful ones. That's going to help our financial life. Thank you so much. And for everyone who came online, we are so much grateful. We will see you on our next one. And the staff who put all these together, thank you so much. So see you next time. Good night to everybody. Bye for now. Our contact details are there. You can our address is at Equitable House, 7 General Gordon Square, SE18 6FH. Our telephone number is 0203 674 2929. you can give us a call. Our email is info@therockfmc.com or admin@therockfmc.com. See you all next time. Bye-bye for now.
Naya, before you close it, please let me just give this one as a go. I mentioned that fear is what do you call it? The enemy of savings. Please, it is important. It is more than just I say it. If you have time, just let us talk about that one. It is discouraging people or is hindering people from saving. But you cannot invest, neither can you create wealth without savings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sari, for that. Have a good night, everybody. See you on our next webinar. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Good night.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.